Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is day 11 of software testing series. So in this video, we will learn about to prepare test plan document, use case, test scenario, test cases, test suite, and RTM requirement traceability matrix. These are very important topics mostly used in a software testing. So please watch this video till the end and don't forget to subscribe this channel for upcoming video. So the test plan document is the first phase of the STLC, software testing life cycle. Okay, so let's start from test plan document. So test plan document mostly created by the test manager and test lead. So we share our all the details as per the requirement and we prepare the test plan mostly as per the client requirement. Okay, so the first heading in test plan document is document information. Okay, document information. So in this document information, we usually cover like project name, okay? And let's suppose the project name is Open Card application. Open Card is a dummy application, okay? So anyone can use. And a version like 1.0 and prepared by. So I can written my name, shift, date, 17, and reviewer, like who will be review this document. So like I'm just a review, I'll client or manager or project manager, okay, and approval status. So this mostly used in a document information. This so test plan document always start from document information. Whether the all information should be captured. Okay, like if we are working on open card application, okay, so everything we will come to the picture and we will go through with the client document and we will mention the all data required detail about the project, okay, and the key information of this project. So project name, version of this prepared by the person they prepared the test plan document. So date, reviewer like client review, manager review, project by who after completion this the document who will be review. After that, we will share that the test plan document who will be approved. Okay. If the lead is preparing this test plan document, so they need to approval at least manager approval, QA manager approval. Okay. Or if the manager is not there, then manager can also approve it. Okay, it depends to the process and business logic like what approval is required. The second thing is in test plan document is the object. Okay, so object like what object and what objectives of this project. So the testing object of testing point one like verify application functionality against business logic. Okay, requirement means whatever the requirement set by the client. Okay, so verify application functionality against business requirement. The second point is identify and report defects during the execution. If you found any defect, so that you can raise, okay, to developer. So identify the report defect, validate integration with external system. Okay, So why is it like if we are validating the integration with the external, means third party or external system which we are using, so that also we need to test, okay, because this is a requirement and ensure the acceptable performance and reliability of that application. Okay, so ensure acceptable performance and okay of this application. And fifth point is confirm the system readiness for production deployment. Okay. So these are objective like we need to do in a test. The testing objective verify application functionality against as per the business requirement, identify the report defect, okay, and validate the integration with external systems, ensure acceptable performance reliability of this application, and confirm system readiness also. Okay, so this is the object of this application. And then second point is like the third heading is out scope scope. Okay, we can say that in scope, which we need to test. Means if we are going to mostly start the testing, tester will always ask the what is the scope of this testing. Okay, so the scope is so the scope is like user authentication. Okay, the second is user registration. Third one is user profile management. Fourth one is dashboard functionality. Reporting module, API integration. Seventh is data management features and security control. Okay, so scope like this is a project scope that we will test user authentication means if any user try to register that application. So without authentication like OTP or email authentication would be required for the first step. User can register that use by register mobile number. Okay, they can new if the new user want to make a profile, so they can do it. User profile management. Okay, they can manage the profile dashboard functionality. Most of the dashboard of this application can functional and they can see the all detail reporting module. Okay, so it means how many login users log in, how many users use that application, whatever the functionality, so that come into the reporting module. API integration means all modules working correctly. Okay, they integrate third parties or other things if they have integrated in this application, though they should work and uh, it should be work like according to systematic way. Data management of the feature. Okay, the all things which is in doing in a backend, so the data can manage and security control means most of the user security if they are user doing any payment, okay, if they are purchasing any product through the UPI credit card debit card, so there the security control also there, so that they will test in this scope of this. There is some out of scope of this project, mostly out of scopes mention a test plan document, so like third party system not on, right, like third parties system not owned by organization. Okay, means if there are any third party application, like I have a company A, okay, so most of the things I'm using company A, but there is some other things I'm using, some other API I'm using, okay. So that the third party, we can say that. So the third party system not owned by the organization, the current organization. Okay, so the third parties, mostly module, whatever functionality, they will handle by the at their own end. So that's out of scope. And the second point is like feature release, like features release in future. Okay, and infrastructure. Infrastructure testing managed by separately. If there any infrastructure, see before making a system, so they have to use most of the infrastructure, multiple system collaboration there. So the infrastructure testing managed by the separate team. Okay, maybe the other IT team, they will handle the infrastructure. Okay, so before making any project, na, the IT team and most of the tech team will set up a call. They make infrastructure as per the client requirement. Okay, they do their system design also. So, as per the infrastructure, most of the applications work, like where the database is stored, which API they will use, okay, which network they will use, which cloud they will use. So everything they make us systematically, and they make a infrastructure document also. So it's mostly handled by the tech team or IT team. Okay. Now the fourth point is strategy. Which strategy will be used in testing? Okay. So it's called a test strategy. So the test strategy, like functional testing, the okay. So in the functional testing, most of the validate the all business requirement and user workflow, whether it's working properly or not. Like positive testing, okay. So positive testing, negative testing, and DBA, boundary value analysis, and error handling, validation. So this is a functional defect, right? Positive, we will check the valid scenario. In valid scenarios also, or we will use the boundary value analysis. We will check the boundaries and the error handling validation, whichever error will be through that we will handle. Okay, if any defect is found, so that also we will cover and test. Okay, then the second is integration testing. Okay, so in the integration, verify communication between means communication between one module to another module. Okay, so like the application module, they will test whether it's working APIs, and the third is database, external services. Okay, so this is the integration. Like from if the any new user is registered there, if they will create the own account, so they will use the API in between of backend, and the new user detail will be stored in backend. So they will check end-to-end flow. Okay, that in integration whether internal part and the backend parts working properly or not. So they will test it as per the requirement. Also, there is some regression testing also. Okay, in this test strategy. So the regression testing, like regression testing. If there are any changes, then execute a regression test to ensure existing functionality not unaffected by the new changes. Okay, so they will like execute regression test to ensure the existing functionality should not be impacted during Need changes so that they will test the regression. Okay, their user interface testing means the UI part they will test. Okay, so like test layout part, layout consistency. Layout means they will check the UI, and if they are using in a mobile application, whether it will be working all device, all Android device and all Android tab like 14, 15, 12, 13, that version will be support that application. Okay, it will work properly, layout consistently, and navigation. And the third point is responsive design. See the responsive means if we are using the same application in laptop and the same application in mobile phone and same application on tab. Okay, so it will be work properly. There is no font will be reflected here and there. Okay, the like all views will be responsive so that the end user can use properly. And the browser, fourth one is the browser compatibility. They will check whether all browser like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, they all mean the application will support this all browser. Okay. And there is some performance testing also. Performance testing. Okay. Means the response time. If like 50,000 users is using the e-commerce website, so the system will properly, the system should be respond in a proper time. It should not, if they are ordering any product project, or like if they want any iPhone from e-commerce site, so that process should not take too much time. Okay, it will work within a second. So that response time also they will check in performance testing. Okay, they will check scalability, load load handling, like if there is a server of 5 GB they have used. Okay, I let's suppose the example only. So if there is a number of like 50,000 or 50,000 plus user is hitting that website. Okay, so that load they can handle, they will use some other different server in a backend. Okay, or they can use the clouds to handle the load. Okay, so that also we will test in performance testing. Then there is some security testing also. So security testing, why like to the in e-commerce, most of the people using the debit card, credit card, UPI or other payment gateway. So it will be work properly and should not like impact any user securities. Okay. So they verify mostly verify authentication. Second is authorization. Okay. Data protection and input validation. So these important thing they will test is security testing. After that, there is a test environment setup. Okay, so test environment setup. So that in the test environment setup, they will check the component, which component they need to be required, like component. Okay, so the components like environment QA, we will test in QA environment. Okay, we will not test in like in production environment. We always will test the application QA environment. We can say the test environment also. Test environment. Okay. The second is application server. Application server like server detail, which server they will use. Then database. This wise can say the MySQL database we will use. Operating system, which operating system they will use, like Windows or Linux. Okay. And there is a browser like Chrome, Firefox. Edge, Safari, okay, mobile device. So mobile device like they will check in Android, iOS. So these the test environment setup. We will test as per the client requirement. Okay, like environment, mostly the QA test environment, which database they will, which server they will be operating, how many operating systems required as per the client requirement. The operating system should be Windows, Linux, and or browser. It should be compatible like for Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Ajax, Safari. Mobile device, Android and iOS. Okay, so that they will cover in the test flight document. After that, there is the test data. Test data. The test data like test data will include valid user account, invalid user account. Okay. See, while we will execute the test cases, so our the test data need to be prepared. So which data, test data you will use in the testing, that also you prepare before that so that you can test easily and there is no delay in between. There is boundary tests. Okay. Boundary test values, which value need to be tested, and sample transaction record and security test data. So the test data must be comply like with the organization data privacy policy. So most of time the organization is provide the test data. Okay, and the mostly the testing team analyze that all the requirement and they will share the detail to the client or the manager, QA manager. So they will or project manager. So they will arrange the test data accordingly. Okay, and there is some exit entry criteria and exit criteria. Okay, so once the test data will be prepared, then there is some entry criteria. Okay, like testing will begin means entry criteria means testing will begin. Right. So their requirement approved by all means maybe client, maybe project manager, or maybe QA manager. Test environment is available. Okay, and build deployment is successful. Why is it like before you start to testing, you need to check up one build whether the build is stable or not for we can perform the system testing on that build. So build deployment successfully, they will check also. Okay, and test cases are reviewed and approved. Means the tester team will send the test data, and that QA manager, project manager will be review and they will approve on the mail also. And required test data is prepared. Okay. So these entry criteria will be there before you start the testing. There is an exit criteria also. So why the exit criteria means mostly when the testing will be complete. So there is a set of rule which client has shared to the all stakeholder. Okay. So we will work accordingly. So most of time like 100% of planned test case are executed. Okay. And no critical bug or high severity bug remain open. Means if there are any critical bug or high severity bug which which can affect our system, that should not be open, it should be closed. Okay, this is the exit criteria, and there is medium defect have approved work around. Okay, and test summary report. See the test summary report is completed and stakeholder approval is received. Once you complete the entry criteria, once you complete the exit criteria, okay, all exit criteria is meet, you will share that to stakeholder, project manager, or whether who's leading that project. Okay, like product owner, project managers, they will confirm for the deployment. When all set is done, they will follow the deployment also. Okay, and there is a delivery levels what we will deliver to the other team also. So like the test plan document, they will share. The QA team will share. Okay, test cases will share. Test data, which test data use and which test data you use during the execution of test cases, and defect reports. Okay, and text test execution report, daily status. Once you will perform any testing, now you will share the daily status also to the stakeholder. Okay, and test summary report. So all the report which you have prepared during the testing, test plan document, test cases, test data, defect report, test execution report, daily status and test summary you need to be shared. Okay, after the sign off. Okay, and there is a role and responsibility of the all management, role and responsibility. Okay, of the management. So there is a role. Okay, so the project management. So they will always do the project oversight. QA lead, test planning and reporting. QA engineer. So what they will do? Execute the test cases and defect logging. Okay, developer defect resolution. If you raise any defect, so the developer will analyze that defect, they will fix the defect, and they will be assigned to the QA engineer. QA engineer again verify, validate that defect, whether it's the bug, whether it's fixed or not. Okay, if it's fixed, they will close. If it's not fixed, they will reopen and reassign to the developer. Okay, and there is a business analyst also. We can say that PA. So business analysis requirement clarification. Okay, when any client will come to the IT team, okay, so they will connect with the BA team because BA team will collect the all requirement. So requirement clarification from the client to the all QA, developer, manager, tech lead, to the all member and product owner also. Product owner can say that project owner. It depends to the company. If it's working there on it's product based company, so there is a product owner. If it's project based, then project owner. Okay. So project and the responsibility there is business approval. Okay. So these are role and responsibilities there, and there is some defect management also, right? There is a defect management process also. They will include a test plan document. So there is a some defect life cycle. In the defect life cycle, like if the tester create any defect, the status will be new. Okay. If it's assigned to any developer, the status will be assigned. If developer is working on that defect, the status will be in progress. Okay. And fourth, if developer fix that defect, it will be fixed. And they will rework assigned to tester. Tester will verify. Then they will change the fixed if it's fixed. Okay. If they retested the effect, then retested status. And if the fixes is done, everything fixed, then they will close that defect. Okay. So I will create a, defect management process or defect bug life cycle, another session for that. Then you can understand easily there. Okay. And there is a risk mitigation also. This is a very important. Okay. Because most of in interview they have to ask. Okay. So risk mitigation, delay in requirement. First is risk. What is risk? So the risk is delayed in requirement. Okay. Then what will be impact for this? If the requirement will be delay, what will be impact? Schedule delay. Okay. Like if I already have planned, we will test one build within week, but the delay in the requirement, the schedule will also delay. Okay. And what will be the mitigation there? How they can manage early requirement review. Okay. Early requirement review. If there is environment issue, risk is environment setup issue, stability issue means the environment is not functional properly, not working properly. So the testing delay because if the application is not working, tester cannot execute the test cases, right? So maintain backup environment if this type of issues will be occur. Okay. And the risk is there, resource constraints. Okay. So what would be the impact of reduced coverage and mitigate? They will execute prioritize critical scenario. They will execute. Okay. If there is a risk like late defect fixes, then the impact release delay. If tester already raised the issues, but the issue is not fixed by the developer is taking too much time for fixing those issues, then release will be delayed because that's for the plan. The test case will not execute by the test team. Okay, within the plan time. Okay, then what the mitigate? So daily defect tracking. They will track defect reach and whether how much time developer is taking, okay, and why it's not fixed by the dev. So they will share the all report at the EOD to the stakeholder, project manager, product owner, or business analyst. So they will do that fast fixes. Okay. So this is a risk and mitigation is an important part of this. Then there is test schedule also. Test schedule. So the test schedule like test planning activity. So what will we do? Start date and end date. Means the test planning, when the test planning is start, if it is start in 18, today is 18, or when it will be end, that date will be there. Test case design start date and end date. Okay. And there were environment setup, start date, end date, test execution, how much tester team will take a time, regression testing also, start date, end date, UAT support, okay, user acceptance testing and test closure. So the start date and end date, there is everything is written there. Okay. And after that, there is the final stage is approval. Once everything is done, then the approval name, role, and signature date. So name project name means anything we can name A role project manager, name B QA lead, okay, C product owner, okay, and when the signature also. Like today is 18, so we will just 18, 18/06 2026. Okay, so these all things are very important in test plan document. These all things will be covered. So mostly test plan document they have some template, and otherwise if there is not template, you can make the test plan document in PDF file and in Word document also. Okay, and everything will be written there. All the test plan is a step by step process. Okay, and the structural process. So everything they will make the test plan document as per the client requirement. Okay, so next is use cases. So the test plan document is already covered. So the next heading is use case. So use cases, like a use case describe how a user means the actor, okay, the actor integrate with the system to achieve a specific goal. Okay, it captures the functional requirement of the system from the user. So use case describe the requirement. There are some actor means user may be one user or maybe group of users. Okay, so they describe the requirement. Then use case contains three items. Okay, actor, which is user. Okay, user single or multiple user, or we can say that group of people. Okay, then action, which is to reach the final outcome. Okay, so the user take the action, they will interact with the system. Okay, maybe single user using that application. So the action which is the reach to the final outcome. Okay, and there is a goal. Can say that outcome. Okay, so the outcome means which is the successfully user outcome. Okay, let's suppose the example of e-commerce website. So the example of online shopping system use case use case. Okay, so actor, who the actor? Customer means user. Okay, admin handle the process, backend process, payment gateway, then use cases. So the use cases is register account, the news user is registered in that application, then they will log in, they will search product in e-commerce website, okay, add product to cart for shopping, then place order, okay, make payment and track order, then manage product by admin, okay, manage order by admin. Okay, so see, this is a simple example of online shopping system, the use case. Okay, So the use case actor admin is there and payment gateway is also okay. And the use case, which use case we will use restaurant account, login, search product, add product to cart. Okay, so this is a simple process there. So I have created one example. So let me open there. Shopping system. Let's created an example. Just 1 minute. Let me open. See, okay. So the customer is a actor. Admin is also actor. So customer will integrate with register, login, search, add to cart, place order, track order. Okay. Then make the payment. Customer make the payment. But what the action will be? Gate payment gateway means it's the actor. The actor will use that and make the payment. And admin will handle manage product, manage order. So this is the simple workflow of the e-commerce website of the use case scenarios. Okay. So the use case scenario. Right? Then our topic is test scenario. It's very important. So the test scenario is a high level description of what need to be tested. Like if client is share the requirement, so the tester team always prepare the test scenarios. Okay. So in the test scenario, it the test scenario is always a high level description what need to be tested and the exact meaning of the test scenario, what to test. Okay. It represent the functionality or business process without detailing every step. So the test scenario is its high level description and what to test. Okay. Suppose example login functionality. Okay. So on the login functionality, the test scenario verify user login. Okay. So there the description verify that user can log into the application. Okay. So the test scenario high level description and what to test. Example login functionality. The scenarios verify user login. So the login part is a test scenario, but under verify user scenario, we will create a test cases. Okay. The test cases will be positive and negative. The detailed, okay, how to test the things, how to test the test cases. Okay. So that is login with valid credential, login with invalid, invalid credential. Okay. And login with invalid username, login with invalid password, login with invalid blank field. Okay. So these test case, it's under verify user login test scenario. So the main exact test scenario is what to test in this app. If the client is given us the requirement to test the e-commerce website, there is a login functionality. Okay. The login functionality written in the requirement document. So the tester team first create the test scenario, verify user login. Then under user login, we will create the test cases. And test cases means how to test. Okay. Let me show you the test cases. Test cases. So test cases is a detailed set of steps, input and execute the result, and used to verify specific functionality of that application. So a test cases is a detailed steps. Okay. to execute test cases on the application. Okay, and check the functionality. Okay, it's a step-by-step action to be performed to validate the functionality. Okay, so it's a step-by-step process to validate the functionality of application. Okay, under testing only. So the exact meaning of test case is how to test. Means the test scenario is a login, but the test case is how to test. Okay. So the test case is a step-by-step, detailed step-by-step process. Okay. And we can say that detailed steps process to execute test case on that application to check the functionality, to validate the functionality in the application. And the same test cases we will later here see. The same, these are test cases. So the test case will login with valid credential, login with invalid credential, login with invalid username, login with invalid password, login with invalid blank field. So these all is a test case. Okay. It's a detailed step. We will check the system whether it's working properly or not. Okay. And there is a the most important topic is test cases template, or we can say that test content. Okay. So it's very important. Let me open to you. So, like in most of the manual testing, we prepare the test case all in Excel sheet. Okay. And for I have created an Excel sheet for this to understand. So this is a module. Okay. So test case typically contain the following field like serial number, module, test case ID, requirement ID, test case description, precondition, test data, test steps, execute, result, actual result, status, priority, severity, involvement, and defect ID, tester, execution date, comments. Okay. So I will explain one by one. So see, serial number 123 means serial number module. Which module we are going to test in the application? So first step is the login. So there is a test case ID is TC001 because this is the first test case and requirement ID we will capture from the requirement document. So this is also requirement ID 1. Okay, so we can return a request 001. Test case description verify login with valid credential and precondition user account exit exists and it's active. Okay, means the ID is already created and it's active ID. So the user data is user ID test, user password test at the rate 123. So this is the test data we will use to execute our test case on that application. This is the steps to reproduce like uh, we always need to capture the steps so that if we are sharing this sheet to the developer or end user to any stakeholder, they can understand. Okay, they can understand the steps. Open login page, enter username, enter password, click on login. So expected result. So the expected result is once we log in, user is successfully logged in and redirect to the dashboard. Okay, and to be filled during execution. So the actual result is expected result is means once we will execute with the test data, so users should be redirect to the dashboard. Users should be able to log in. So this is expected and actual data to be filled during execution. This all detail we have filled and it's working properly. And the expected result is meet as per the client requirement. That is the actual result status, whether it's pass or failed. So it's pass. Here we will mention pass in a green color, or if it's failed, we will mention here fail in red color. Okay. So green is a means the color uh, of the symbol like uh, green for pass and fail for red. And priority is high priority. Severity is critical. If user is not able to log in with a valid ID, so it means the critical. we cannot perform the other test cases. Okay. So the critical functionality, if login fails and environment is Q environment. See, so environment like we are using our tester environment, Q environment, defect ID. So once we have to raise the defect, if it's failed, then the defect ID will be grade ID 001. If you will use Zira, so in the Zira, automatic defect ID is created. Okay. Tester is QA tester. Execution date like it was at 18, yesterday 17. So whatever execution date you just mention, comment or any observation during execution of the test cases on that application. If you have any observation, if you find any glitch in this application, that you can mention, or you can ask the developer also. Okay. So that test cases typically contain the following fields. So very important to maintain the Excel sheet, refer the test data. Okay, entire things. And then other other topic is test suite. So test suite is a collection of the test cases. Okay. A test suite is a collection of related test cases grouped together to validate the specific feature, module and workflow or release. Okay. So a test suite is a group of test cases. Okay. Which belongs to same category. Okay. So let's suppose the example e-commerce site. Okay. So the app we are going to test e-commerce application. So there is a test suite is user authentication. Okay. Purpose of this test suite validate all user authentication functionality. Okay. And there is a test scenarios under test suite, then test scenario, then test cases. Okay. So the test scenario, user registration, user login, okay, then forget password, change pass, okay, and log out. So basic check, log out, basic checks I have did here. Now under scenarios, we will cover the test cases. So the test cases, okay. So the test cases is register with valid details, which the mandatory field is required. So user can register with the valid details and register with existing email. Then log in with valid credential, log in with invalid credential. Fifth one is reset password, okay, and log out, okay. So these are test suite. Let me show you the example for that. So I've created one image for that. You can understand easily. So the test suite. Okay. So test suite is what? Test suite is a collection of the test cases. Okay, which belongs to the particular test in the scenario. So the test cases, the test plan document is a different thing. Means it's cover for the entire application, but the test suite, we will execute the test suite. Then under test suite, the test scenarios. Okay. Then under test scenario, test case 1, test case 2, test case 3. So this is a group of test cases under a particular scenario. See, so the test suite is that the test suite is a e-commerce application is example. Okay, so this is a user authentication. Okay, so user authentication. Okay, it is a test suite, but the test scenario is that there is a lot of test scenario. Okay, user registration, okay, and user login, okay. So that I have explained to you. And after in the test scenario, there is a number of test cases also. Register with ID, registered with invalid, okay, login with valid credentials. So this the test should means a group of test cases. Suppose if we have means as per the automation prospects, if we have created 10 means 1000 test cases of that application. Okay. So under test suite, I don't want to execute 1000 test case. I just want to execute one test suite. Okay. For the user authentication only. Okay. So there are the scenarios also there. So as per the scenarios, this test cases is written there. So that particular test cases we will execute. We will run one test suite only. Okay. So one test suite we will run. Okay, where we the all user authentication test cases will be executed instead of 1000. Okay, so this is the main example for this. And after that, there is a last topic of this video, RTM. It's a very important topic, mostly asked in interview. Okay, requirement, traceability, metrics. So requirement test traceability matrix is a very simple. It's a mapping of the requirement. Okay, so RTM is the most important QA artifacts. Okay, and used to ensure that all requirement covered by test cases and that no requirement is missed during testing. Okay, so why that RTM is required? So RTM is the traceability matrix where the mapping of the requirement with the test cases. Okay, we will map the our requirement with the test cases. Whether there is no test cases will be missed means no requirement will be missed during the execution of test cases. Okay, it's a very important topic and it's to provide a traceability, right? So the traceability in between mostly used like business requirement, okay, functional requirement, then test scenario, then test cases, okay. So in between, we are doing the traceability matrix. What is the purpose of RTM? Okay, so purpose of RTM traceability matrix verify 100%. Okay, 100% requirement cover. Ensure every requirement has proper test cases. Okay, identify missing requirement or test cases and track testing process. Okay, so this the purpose of RTM means verify 100% requirement will be covered as per the client requirement. There is no requirement will be missed if we will do the RTM, requirement traceability matrix. So there is a benefit of the requirement traceability matrix, complete the requirement matrix. Okay, is there impact analysis when requirement change? This is a very important point is there, like benefit of RTM. Okay, so one is complete requirement will cover. Second is easier. It's a very easier impact analysis when requirement will be changed. Okay, and the third is better visibility for stakeholder. So the stakeholder can easily understand and it will be clear visible to the stakeholder, like what we have tested and there is no requirement is missed there. Okay. And reduce the risk of missed functionality during release. So this is a benefit of this RTM. So RTM is the most important Q artifact and used to ensure the all requirement covered by the test cases and then there's no requirement is missing during execution. So I have prepared one of RTM logic here. So the requirement ID is one, requirement description is user. Okay. So in application we have started testing. So there the requirement is a user login. We have create a scenario for the user login is test TS001. Under scenario, we have covered the three test cases, test case one, two, three. So status is covered. Means if we will follow the RTM, we will follow the RTM traceability matrix. So our requirement will be never miss. Okay, during the execution and user registration. For the registration scenario, we have covered three test cases that we have covered. Forget password. In this scenario, we have covered two test cases, which is covered. Okay. Once all testing is completed, we are going to sign up to the stakeholder. So we will do the RTM, whether the all test scenario, all the requirement is covered or not, if there are any misses or not. So that's very helpful to manage the RTM things, and we can manage the all entire thing as per the requirement process. So that's why we have to perform requirement traceability metrics, and it's a very important part. Okay, so that's it in the video. So today we have covered most of the important topics here: test plan document, the whole entire thing we have covered in test plan document. Okay. While we will test any new project or any application, so we always prefer the test plan document. There is the use case. Okay. The use case is always created by the business analyst. Okay. And the users, they will show you a representation there. So you can understand they will say the actor or process there and test scenario we will always written the test scenario as per the requirement test cases as per the test scenario we will cover the test cases like what like how we can test and test scenario what we need to test and test suite is a group of test cases. RTM is requirement traceability matters to mapping the requirement. So like there is no requirement will be missed during the execution and during the sign off. Okay. So please watch this video till the end and don't forget to subscribe this channel for upcoming video. Thank you.